Heyo YouTube, Origami here, welcome back to the channel, and it's been a while since the last deck profile for the Duel Masters PLAY'S game, and that's mainly because the top decks in the meta now are still the Hyperspatial Beatdown deck and the Bulgarizo deck that I've already covered. I hope those videos have been useful for you. Right now there's also another variation of the Hyperspatial Beatdown deck that's also tier 1, but I thought I'd do a different deck profile instead of another similar one. If you guys still want me to do the deck profile for that, let me know down in the comment section below and I'll consider it. Otherwise, I'd probably skip it in favor of the other more interesting decks in the meta right now. Now with that said, you know that means that today's deck is not really tier 1. It used to be, but it currently sits comfortably in tier 2, and that is the Emperor Kiriko deck. The deck focuses on getting out Emperor Kiriko as soon as possible and then using its effect to potentially OTK your opponent. A fun deck for sure, but let's get right into it. Now first up, I'm going to talk about the mana ramp. We have 4 of the Fairy Life as well as 4 Bronze Arm Tribe. Now 8 basic mana ramp cards. Bronze Arm Tribe also provides a good non-evolution body as a target for Sanctuary of the Divine Song, which we will discuss later. We play 1 copy of the Iceland's Paladin Spear. Whenever the cross creature attacks, return all creatures that have blocker that have the same or less power than the cross creature to their owner's hand. So this is one of the cross gears that we play one of to facilitate that OTK turn. Next up, one of the core cards, 4 of the Sanctuary of Divine Song. Put one of your non-evolution creatures into the mana zone. If you do, search your mana for an origin evolution creature that costs the same or less than the maximum mana you have, and put it into the battle zone. Now this is the mechanism that we will use to cheese out the key card. We have Emperor Kiriko for 3 mana. Next up, another one off, we play the Ogre Gear Ogre Fist, and much like Iceland's, this is one of the cross gears that we play one off for the OTK turn. The cross creature gets plus 1000 power times the creature's cost and gets Powered Breaker. Now the important thing to note here is that when crossed with Bolmeteus Sapphire Dragon, Bolmeteus actually breaks 5 shields with this card, i.e. without any shield adding effects. If your opponent has 5 shields like at the start of the game, Bolmeteus would be breaking all of your opponent's shields, sending them to the graveyard without shield trigger activating. Now that's one of the main reasons we play this card at all. Next up, we have 4 of the Evolution Burst Energy Spiral. Choose one of the following effects, either draw 2 cards or return one of your opponent's creatures to their hand. But it also has double evolution burst, i.e. if you have an evolution creature, you get to activate both effects. Now this is a very good situational card and synergizes with what you really want to do, which is either draw or removal, and gets the added benefit of doing both when you have an evolution creature in the form of Kiriko or the other like evolution. Next up, another one-off cross gear. This is 1 Noble Enforcer. Now, unlike the other one-off cross gears, this one isn't primed for the OTK. It's in fact used for its uncrossed effect for anti-rush. While this card isn't crossed with a creature, creatures that have power 2000 or less can't attack or block. And if you cross it, the cross creature can't be attacked or blocked by creatures that have power 2000 or less. So for me, I think both effects are useful. I think mainly though, you really use it for the uncrossed effects to sort of prevent the rush decks from coming very quickly at the start of the game. But I would say maybe situationally, you might want to use the cross effect, but I have so far never used the cross effect. Next up, we play 4 of the Wild Lady Savage Fairy. When this card enters the battle zone, you may search your deck for an evolution creature and put it into your mana zone. Then shuffle your deck. This card gets Kiriko or Ikazuchi into your mana straight from your deck and ready for Divine Song. This card is also an origin, so it also falls into one of the bodies you can use to evolve. Next up, we play 4 of the Original Sign. Card effect, shield trigger, draw a card, then you may put an origin creature that costs 7 or less from your hand into the battle zone. Until the start of your next turn, that creature gets blocker. It's a good shield trigger, allows you to summon I think almost all your origins, plus if you need a blocker for that turn, it works. Now another one of the core cards, we play 4 of Amaterasu, Founder of the Blue Wolves. Now when this enters the battlefield, choose one of the following effects. Search your deck for a spell that costs 4 or less and cast it for no cost, then shuffle your deck. Or you can search your deck for a cross gear that costs 4 or less and generate it for no cost, then shuffle your deck. Essentially, it can target any spell or cross gear in deck, I think barring Original Sign, and you can literally get anything you want. Most notably, that will be Divine Song for the combo of course, but you know, if you have those pieces in your hand, you might want to use it to, you know, get the cross gears you want, Ogre Fist or Ice Lance for that OTK. Next up is 1 Akazuchi, Lord of Spirits. Evolution evolves on an Angel Command or Origin, but mainly Origin for this deck. Whenever a creature is put into the battle zone, untap all your creatures in the battle zone. Those creatures get blocker until the end of turn. Double Breaker, and this is a defensive alternative to Kiriko. Not really part of your combo, but definitely improves the deck by giving it a good defensive option. And now for the star of the show, we play 3 Emperor Kiriko, the main card of the deck. Evolution, Cyber or Origin. When this enters the battle zone, put all your other creatures on the bottom of your deck. Then put 3 non-evolution creatures from the top of your deck into the battle zone. Then shuffle your deck. And the effect can only be triggered once per turn, so remember that. Sometimes you're tempted to play a second one, but the effect doesn't really go off. Triple Breaker, and like we mentioned, the main goal of the deck is to cheese out Kiriko as early and as efficiently as possible for a possible OTK. Mostly done through the Divine Song and other supporting cards, and what you really want to see when you play Kiriko is maybe 1 Bolmeteus off the top of your deck, and perhaps an option to get Ogre Fist for the 5 shield break and Ice Lance if necessary. A guaranteed OTK for 5 shields if it happens. Bolmeteus breaking all the shields without shield trigger, plus Kiriko as an evolution has 1 more attack for Todomeda. Then we play 1 Terradragon Diruga Vejida. When this enters the battle zone, put all your opponent's creatures that have power 3000 or less into their owner's mana zones. If this enters the battle zone other than from your hand, put another one of your opponent's creatures that has power 9000 or less into its owner's mana zone. When destroyed, shuffle it into your deck instead. Now, I'm gonna be honest here and say that I can't say for certain why this card is in the deck, especially as a one-off, but I'm gonna say my best guess is that it would be a big body, Quattro Breaker, and some conditional removal that is useful, and perhaps what I believe people are thinking is probably a recurring body in the deck, so that you always have a desirable body to play out from the deck via the Kiriko effect in some sense. And lastly, we play 4 of the Bolmeteus Sapphire Dragon. How many times have we seen this card as a playset especially? The gold standard finisher. I've already explained how the rest of the deck interacts with it, used in so many decks. Get your playset as soon as possible. This time there's no Hyperspatial zone, so that wraps it up. So at the moment this deck is tier 2 and rightfully so. It's competitive against all the other decks except the 3 decks in tier 1 right now. Really fun, probably carries well into Platinum, but I would say probably struggles if played consistently in Duel Masters rank and above. Nonetheless, an enjoyable deck that was once top tier, and who knows, with more support it might be amongst the top decks again someday. And at the end of the day, enjoying the game and the deck that you're playing is the most important thing in the game. So I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. If you like this video, do help me drop a like on it to let me know, and I'll keep making more videos just like this one. And if you're new here, consider subscribing to the channel to stay up to date with more Duel Masters plays and other mobile gaming content. Forget about the notification bell, just subscribing would mean a lot to me. Alright, enough yep. So I'm going to jump right into the gameplay, and this time I'm going to be adding commentary. I'm not sure if that's really what you prefer, or maybe you guys prefer just watching the gameplay without me talking over it, but we'll see. Let me know down in the comments if you prefer commentary over the gameplay or just letting the gameplay run over like background music. And yep, let's get into the gameplay. Okay, into the first game here, we can see that our opponent is playing some kind of hyperspatial control deck. We look at their hyperspatial zone, it looks that way at least. And they charge and end their turn, and I'm probably just going to charge and end my turn as well. Now this would be a good time for Fairy Life. Unfortunately, we don't have Fairy Life this time. We're gonna play Bronze Arm Tribe here for the mana ramp. And then Amaterasu gets into the mana. Now from my hand, I really don't have the pieces that I really want. Technically, I can play Lily and then into Divine Song, and that should be enough. But then I'm running very low on resources if I do it that way without any other, draw. He plays that blocker that gets him a Fire or Light spell. I'm just going to charge one Lily, probably going to play the other Lily, get the Kiriko into the deck. Get the Kiriko into the mana zone and pass the turn. He plays another of this Dragon Blocker and gets, what does he get? He gets a Hyperspatial Hole, the one that taps one of my creatures. And ends his turn. I get a Kiriko to my hand, but I'm probably going to charge it. Yep, I can probably draw 2. And I see the ramp. I'm going to play Fairy Life so that I will definitely have 9 mana next turn. He actually goes ahead and plays, I don't know the name of that, but he discards one of my cards and adds a shield to him. He discards Amaterasu, luckily not discarding my Divine Song, so that is kind of good for me. I'm going to charge my one of the Divine Song and then play Divine Song, sending the Bronze Arm Tribe into the mana, evolving Lily into Kiriko, and then let's look at the top 3 cards of our deck. We get 2 Bolmeteus Sapphire and 1 of the Terradragon. Unfortunately, usually I prefer an Amaterasu so that I can find a cross gear to cross onto Bolmeteus, but unfortunately we don't have it. But 2 Bolmeteus is also a very good option. We're just going to attack straight with Bolmeteus. I'm assuming he's going to block here. He doesn't. He lets us triple break. He'll probably block the next one though. Yep, he blocks it here. I'm debating whether I actually break with Kiriko, but I assume that's the best way to do it. And just push him to no shields left. Maybe that's a mistake, I don't know, but I don't think, there's much for him to come back from. He gets a Aqua Surfer, he's probably going to surf. He surfs a Bolmeteus, which is strange because Bolmeteus is speed attacker. So I don't really know why he did that. Unless he's planning to discard it from my hand, because you can see that I have 9 mana, so I can summon it manually the next turn. And he sacks. So that is a very good example of how powerful Kiriko's effect is. You can see 2 Bolmeteus Sapphire plus the Terradragon is so many strong bodies on the board, speed attackers, and destroys the shield. So even without the cross gears, looks to be a very strong effect. Here we go into our second game, and let me see. He's playing some sort of, I don't know, Bulgarizo or some Hyperspatial. He's trying to play that psychic creature, I assume, that sort of gets you a second turn. Playing 4 of it, unless that's all bait, I don't know. Charging again, and again we don't have Fairy Life, which is pretty unlucky, but I'm probably going to go for Bronze Arm Tribe next turn. Yep. Charge the draw because I need the mana, but I also need Amaterasu and Lily. I would prefer to charge the original sign, but that goes in the mana zone tap, so that's the problem. He summons a Coco Lupia, which means he's probably a dragon deck, maybe a next deck. Now I finally charged the original sign because I got another one. Then I'm playing Lily for the Kiriko into the mana zone. He charges, he summons his Nex, and let's see what he gets with his Nex. So Nex also an interesting deck. I did have a lot of fun with it while it was tier 1, but it really dropped off quickly. Still tier 2 I think, if I'm not wrong, but very fun deck. Just probably still loses out to Balga Raizo, which is like the premier dragon deck. Okay, he summons the one that gives him speed attacker. I think it's Lupia NEX or something like that. And he breaks my shield straight away. And surprisingly doesn't attack with Coco Lupia. So I charge here. I'm probably gonna play Amaterasu if I can get a cross gear to get ready for the OTK turn, but I realized I made a mistake because I probably should have played a spell, but I think I recovered it by sacrificing my Lily for a defensive position. You only need 2 creatures when you play Divine Song, so that's fine for me, but he goes here, taps my Bronze Arm Tribe and destroys it, then he double breaks again, very aggressive player. And I don't get anything, but I'm ready to play Divine Song on this turn. Charge the Bronze Arm Tribe, I play Amaterasu, probably searching for the Divine Song. Play directly from the deck. It charges one of the Amaterasu, summons the Kiriko onto the second Amaterasu. And let's look at the top 3 cards of our deck, and we get no Bolmeteus, no attackers, we get a Lily, we get 2 Amaterasu. So I don't know, I'm gonna charge the light blocker Evolution Origin, and then I'm gonna play a cross gear Ice Lance. And then I'm going to play another Divine Song from my hand. I'm taking a more defensive approach by summoning the light blocker. And then I'm going to destroy his creatures here. I think that's one of the problems of the Kiriko deck, is that even though we already play 4 Bolmeteus Sapphire, but if you don't hit it, it's really not ideal to go after your opponent's shields without destruction. Because shield triggers are really a pain in the ass, and you can see I'm really only on 1 shield. If anything happens, he's very easily gonna win the game. But by summoning this blocker, it gives me at least a defensive approach. If he puts anything into the battle zone, I will actually untap and have blocker effects. So you can see here, he puts 1 Coco Lupia in, it untaps all my creatures and they all get blocker. He plays another Coco Lupia, probably doesn't have anything else he can play on his hand. So he's just gearing up for his next turn, but I'm at 9 mana, and the smart thing here to do would be to charge and play Bolmeteus directly from my hand. Triple break for the... I wish I could cross here, but I can't. Triple break for the shield destruction, and then I'm going to gamble on the 2 shields, but he sacks here, so that is game for us. Very strong. You see, even if things don't go our way, there are options to kind of stabilize a bit before going and pushing out again, because you do have a lot of mana by that time. Okay, we're heading into our last game right now, and we're playing against, let me see, probably another Hyperspatial control deck. It's a mishmash in between. It looks like it could be beat down, but it plays the dark creatures that signify a bit more control. I charge the original sign just to get the tapped mana out of the way. Usually I don't like to play it because it kind of gives away the deck, but if you look at the other options that I have in my hand, most of them would give away the deck. Fortunately this time we actually get the Fairy Life off, but we don't have we actually don't have the Lily, which means we lose out on the ramp and putting the Kiriko into the mana zone. I charge a Bolmeteus and I'm going to draw 2 cards. And we still don't hit a Lily. Technically I'm going to charge the Kiriko from my hand directly, but you know, it's looking like I'm lacking a little bit of resources. He draws 2, discards 1, getting ready to summon that, and we finally draw the Lily. I'm going to charge because he doesn't look like a rush deck at that point, so I'm going to charge the anti-rush cross gear, and then I'm going to play Lily, I put the light card into my mana zone because I'm assuming that I was going to charge my Kiriko at this point, which is kind of a mistake, I think, if I recall correctly. He plays that spell that summons something 7 or less, and he summons the dragon. I charge my Bronze Arm Tribe, play Amaterasu, and I'm probably going to look for a cross gear, which is the Ogre Fist, getting ready for the OTK turn. But then you realize that I don't have the Divine Song, which is a problem. I'm probably going to have to draw here. And here for some reason I choose to charge Bolmeteus again, and then I draw. And then I don't realize this when I'm playing it, but I don't have Kiriko in my mana zone, which I just assumed that I did charge. And then when I play my Divine Song, my only target was the Light Origin. Then I just sort of crossed it so that it will have higher power to block. He plays the cross gear to give speed attacker. Is he gonna? He doesn't attack here. Probably was a good choice to cross the blocker then. And then I charge 1 Kiriko, and I'm thinking if I should summon Kiriko, and then I think, yeah, I definitely do have to play it from my hand, because even if I choose to cheese it out some other way, it's still going to return that light card into my deck, so might as well just evolve over it. It's not a loss in that sense. And then no Bolmeteus again. Get an Amaterasu, I get a Bronze Arm Tribe, and then I get the Terradragon. I play the Amaterasu to return that creature to his hand, and then the dragon actually sends his that dragon to his mana zone. And yeah, I'm choosing not to attack here because, like I said, whenever you don't have Bolmeteus, it's always a risk, a very big risk, especially when in late game. Things can turn around very quickly. He plays the card again. I think it's Gunfeed, I'm not sure. Puts cards into his graveyard, gets the speed attacker and chooses to attack this time to proc the effect again. Plays the Terra Pit. Kills Kiriko, I'm not sure why he does that. I think maybe just to get rid of Shield Breaker. I'm not convinced why he doesn't kill the Terradragon instead. But yeah, because we have the Ogre Fist on the board and I play Lily, I'm probably gonna play Original Sin, and then I was hoping to draw something else. Probably Amaterasu into Divine Song and then Kiriko again, but we don't get it. I choose to just destroy it with the Terradragon and then end my turn. And here I'm starting to think I only have 4 cards left in my deck. Perhaps I don't have any more Bolmeteus, or if I'm not hitting it, then it's in my shield. So I decide I have to go for it sooner rather than later. Cross the Ogre Fist onto the Terradragon, break all his shields. He gets a shield trigger, 4 shield triggers in fact, but I have other attackers that probably is enough to end the game. He still plays out his shield triggers. I mean, respect to people who do this, because I think sometimes people quit early and then it sort of ruins the satisfaction of actually getting the total meta. Respect to him, he plays out his shield triggers, Gunveed again, but that is just not enough, and we get the win here with Amaterasu. So yeah, that's the deck. I hope you guys enjoy the gameplay as well. If you guys want commentary or if you guys prefer no commentary, just let me know it down in the comment section below, and for the next video I'll just either revert it or keep to the commentary, but it will take probably longer for me to push out videos with commentary. Enough yep. Thanks for watching guys. Stay safe. Bye bye.